Have you ever noticed how the most helpful professionals often have the hardest time getting hired? I have built YouTube channels across multiple niches, some with top-ranking videos, others with massive reach and millions of views. After seeing how all of that works behind the scenes, I can tell you this with confidence. If you are a professional, chasing views is usually the wrong goal. What matters far more is authority, trust, and the right clients. So in this video, you will discover the 5 positioning mistakes that keep brilliant professionals admired, but unhired, and learn the specific shifts that transform experts from educators into trusted advisors who clients actively seek out and pay premium rates to work with. Now, you might have noticed something a little different about this video. This is my AI twin. You see, I use it because as a professional, my job isn't to spend 10 hours a week filming. It's to think, solve problems, and help clients. And the real value isn't only the face on the screen, it's the thinking behind it. Have you ever wondered why some of the most knowledgeable professionals in your field seem to struggle the most with getting hired? Here is what is actually happening. When you focus on teaching your audience everything you know, you are accidentally positioning yourself as an instructor rather than an authority. You are showing them how capable you are of explaining things, but you are not demonstrating why they should hire you to solve their problems. The more you teach, the more they learn from you, but the less they feel they need you. You have become their free education source, not their trusted advisor. This creates a fundamental disconnect between your expertise and your perceived value as someone worth paying. This is the education trap, where teaching too much actually prevents you from being hired because you have trained your audience to see you as their instructor instead of their solution. Now, before we go further, let me give you something practical. If you're a consultant, coach, or service professional, and you want clients from YouTube without becoming a content creator, I built a short diagnostic called the Expertise to Authority Breakdown. It shows you exactly which part of your experience should become your authority angle on YouTube. So you're not guessing what to talk about or copying creator strategies that don't fit you. Click the link in the description to get your personalized breakdown that you can use right away. Why does being genuinely helpful sometimes make you seem less authoritative to potential clients? Most professionals believe that helpful content builds trust and authority, but there is a psychological principle working against you that nobody talks about. When you make your expertise too accessible, you accidentally signal that your knowledge is not exclusive or valuable. Potential clients start thinking, if they are giving this away for free, how special can it really be? Your well-intentioned, helpful content begins working like a discount signal. People appreciate what you are sharing, but they do not associate it with premium value. They consume your insights, benefit from them, and then assume that level of help is your baseline, not your expertise. This is why helpful content often lowers perceived authority, because accessibility gets confused with commonality, making your audience value the information while devaluing the professional behind it. What if the way you are communicating with your audience is actually lowering your status in their eyes? When you speak to your audience like a teacher addressing students, you are creating a hierarchy that works against you. Teachers explain things to people who do not know them yet, but advisors discuss solutions with people who already understand the problem. The language is completely different. Teachers say, let me show you how to do this. Advisors say, here is what we are dealing with and why it matters. One positions you as someone who educates. The other positions you as someone who solves. Potential clients do not want to feel like students in your classroom. They want to feel like they are getting insight from a peer who happens to be further along the path. This is why speaking peer-to-peer instead of teacher to student increases authority, because it shifts perception from educator to trusted advisor who understands their world. What is the difference between someone who delivers information and someone who commands authority? Most professionals think authority comes from sharing more facts, more data, more comprehensive explanations. But that is information delivery, not authority building. Authority comes from interpretation. It comes from helping people understand what the information actually means for their specific situation. Anyone can research and repeat what is already known, but only someone with real expertise can look at a complex situation and say, here is what is really happening and why it matters to you. When you focus on delivering more information, you are competing with Google. When you focus on delivering insight and perspective, you are offering something that cannot be found anywhere else. This is why authority is not created by delivering more information, but by delivering insight, interpretation, and perspective that helps viewers think differently about their situation. Why do some professionals who post constantly still struggle to build authority while others who rarely publish are seen as the obvious experts? There is a widespread belief that more content equals more authority. So professionals start publishing daily, creating endless tutorials, sharing every insight they have. But volume without focus creates noise, not authority. When you are everywhere talking about everything, potential clients cannot figure out what you actually do or who you serve. They see activity, but they do not see expertise. Meanwhile, the professional who publishes less frequently, but with crystal clear positioning, becomes the person everyone thinks of when they need that specific solution. Clarity creates mental shortcuts. Volume creates confusion. This is why clarity beats volume, because clear positioning and focused messaging creates stronger trust signals than frequent or high volume publishing. What are potential clients actually evaluating when they are deciding whether to hire you? Most professionals think clients are judging their credentials, their experience, or their knowledge. But the real evaluation happens at a much deeper level. Potential clients are reading subtle signals about how you frame problems, how confidently you speak about solutions, and how you position yourself in relation to their challenges. They are noticing whether you sound like someone who has dealt with this before or someone who is still figuring it out. They are picking up on whether you see yourself as their equal or as someone trying to prove their worth. These signals get processed subconsciously long before they consciously think about whether to reach out. The decision to hire you often gets made in the first few minutes of exposure to your content. These are the hidden signals clients look for subconsciously: confidence, framing, and positioning cues that determine credibility long before they consciously decide to reach out. If that distinction just clicked for you, I built a short diagnostic that helps you clarify which parts of your experience actually translate into authority and which ones don't. It's called the Expertise to Authority Breakdown. There's a link below if you want clarity instead of guesswork. What happens when you stop thinking of yourself as someone who creates content and start thinking of yourself as someone who guides decisions? This shift changes everything about how you communicate. Content creators focus on sharing information and getting engagement. They think about topics, formats, and audience growth. But trusted advisors focus on helping people make better decisions. They think about outcomes, implications, and guidance. When you make this identity shift, your language changes. Instead of saying, here is how to do this, you start saying, here is what you should consider. Instead of teaching processes, you start discussing strategy. Instead of hoping people find your content helpful, you start positioning yourself as someone whose opinion matters. Your audience picks up on this shift immediately. This is the transformation from content creator to trusted advisor. When experts shift their identity from sharing content to guiding decisions, viewers begin seeing them as advisors rather than educators. How do you know when your authority positioning is actually working? There is a specific moment when everything shifts. Your audience stops comparing you to other options and starts seeing you as the natural person to work with. They stop asking, should I hire this person or someone else? And start asking, when can I work with them? This does not happen overnight. It is the result of consistent authority positioning over time. Each piece of content builds on the last, reinforcing the same message about who you are and what you solve. Eventually, your audience reaches a tipping point where your expertise becomes so clearly established in their minds that hiring anyone else feels like settling for second best. They do not need to research alternatives because you have become the obvious answer to their problem. This is the moment viewers begin seeing you as the obvious choice. When authority content changes perception over time until viewers stop comparing options and begin viewing the expert as the natural and obvious person to work with. And this is where most professionals make one final mistake. They assume that once they position themselves correctly, clients will start searching for them. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. High-value clients usually do not search for experts at all. They discover them. And that single difference changes how YouTube works for professionals completely. Because the goal is not to be found through search. It is to become visible in the right moments, to the right people, before they even realize they are looking. And once you understand how that discovery actually happens, everything about your content strategy starts to make sense. I will show you exactly why in the next video.